Light the beam! Light the beam! Light the beam! Light the beam!
Oh, light the beam, boys. We are back. The Sports Cave Live is back. This is the Sports Cave with Biggest Puma. I am your host, Sam Freas. We find ourselves once again back in the room together 10 days away from the first round of the NFL Draft. As always, if you want to get a hold of the program, or at least my portion of said program, you can find me on X at Biggest Puma, on Instagram, biggest.puma. And for Cap and my fellow geriatric millennials, you can also always find me on Facebook. Just search Sam Freas. Should be the only one. There used to be the head swimming and diving coach at the University of Hawaii had my exact name, which always tripped me out because it's a pretty uncommon.
You do have a diver body. You know, if you were a little bit skinnier.
I did a lot of swimming growing up. I got
do some tucks.
I got my mile swim in Boy Scouts back in the day. No, that always shot my wheels off because I think there's only like 1,800 people in the world with my last name, and one of them actually had something worth Googling to find him. So,
and feel free to talk on the chat. I'm gonna try to get to y'all during the show. I'm gonna get a little bit better on that, reading that at real time. So feel free, if you're watching us live, chime in.
It's good that one of us pays attention to it because I do a really bad job of that.
I'm trying.
I will fall on that sword. No, if you missed any of last week's shows, do go back and give those a view. Of course, last Monday was the NCAA basketball championships held here in our fair burg. We went live after the championship game last Monday. You can go watch that on YouTube. And then Wednesday's show, I had a lot of fun recording with my buddy Toby. I finally picked at the scab that was the Luka trade. Of course, last week, Luka making his return to Dallas. There was plenty of meat on that bone to talk about. I appreciate, again, Toby.
Tears flew.
It was a tearful, and it wasn't just Mavs fans that were crying. It was Luka himself.
Man,
so.
He's probably one of those sloppy drunks that get all crying.
Oh, I would imagine. Yeah, no question. He's the groomsman at the wedding that can't hold his alcohol down.
Are you crying?
With the 18-minute best man speech.
Oh yeah.
You know that one time that that was cool.
Yeah. You remember? No, y'all. I don't have to tell you. Y'all remember? Y'all were there. It was like one person was there in this entire room. That's why we didn't even do bridesmaid or best man speeches at our. I didn't even want to give one of my friends the opportunity to do that exact speech that you just described.
I don't even see you in a tux.
That's because I didn't wear a tux. I wore a tucked in flannel with a sports coat over it. That's the best I could do. I did get a haircut.
West Texas.
Yeah, I did get a haircut, but no. Today, we're back in the room. During the main segment, we're going to, of course, talk a lot of Masters, Rory's historic win, and then also wanted to, over the weekend, we had the end of an era with Spurs basketball. The great Bill Schoening announced his retirement a week ago or so. And, of course, Spurs played their last game of the regular season on Sunday. It turned out to be a really interesting day of basketball league-wide with all of the play-in and playoff ramifications, all of the different seeding outcomes that were still in play Sunday afternoon. So
Ant-Man couldn't even play, got his 18 technical.
Yeah, that's still one of the rules. It just doesn't – it's obviously not preventing people from actually
stopping them from actually doing technicals. They're still going to talk trash.
And
they're still going to.
Only the NBA would come up with a rule that literally takes away, it takes their best players out of the product. Yeah,
it's like, oh, you got 2 yellow cards. That's an automatic red. You're suspended for the next game.
The next game, exactly.
We use hands in this sport, sir.
And that being said, I'm not sure it works for soccer either, but. We got Masters, got Spurs in the main segment, and then we're going to end. I think you organically came up with something last week, kind of ending the show with some quick hits in a bit of a lightning round style, because
just run them off.
Anytime I fill out one of these run sheets, there are so many things that just get left on the cutting room floor, and
a week. There's so much in 1 week,
and there's not a whole lot. These quick hits. We had a transfer because of NIL. We had Cowboys voluntary team workouts. Stars know who they're playing now in the first round of the playoffs. So nothing.
And tonight, the women's draft.
Okay, time out. I am glad. Right here at the top of my page. I have a note. Ask LG and Cap if they knew the WNBA draft was tonight. So everyone, be honest. When did you learn the WNBA draft was taking place tonight?
See, I'm more of like a third rounder, deep dive person. Those late picks. That's when I really get into it. Not the first round. I'm just joking. I didn't know.
My other note.
Yeah,
ask them how many rounds there are.
Was it 2? I don't know.
LG, do you know how many rounds the WNBA draft is?
2.
That would have been my guess. It turns
2.
out it is 3.
Yes.
Because there's only like 13 teams.
The third
round
they've gotta go, is where it gets good. I'm telling you.
That's why when you said that.
That's when you get those reach players. You know what I'm saying? Slovenia, Lithuania.
Yeah, you're getting your draft and stash prospects in the third round. Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, I tried, for the record, to convince the boys here to do a WNBA draft watch party. For tonight, but they said no, we're going live at 8:00 like normal. So, alas, we're here.
Yeah, watch me fall asleep.
Yeah, well, couple generational talents with the top 2 picks.
Supposedly, someone not as good as Caitlin Clark went all number 1 from UConn.
Yeah, Paige Beckers ends up going to Dallas number 1. Yeah, I could tell. Man, I didn't want you to embarrass yourself by taking the next hour to try to come up with that name. But as always, we start with what I watched last night. And of course, it being Monday night, that means we do a bit of a weekend recap. And I thought 2 weeks into this thing, I've gone first both times. So after talking to LG, it sounds like LG actually had a full weekend as compared to the last couple weekends.
You got to hit me with it, LG.
Yeah, I had a full weekend. It wasn't bad. I actually came out of retirement as a DJ and DJ'd somewhere downtown.
Oh, where's Spike Lee? No one told me.
Yep.
Yeah.
No one told me.
I might have stepped foot downtown. No.
No?
No.
You wouldn't have gone anyway if I had told you.
I wouldn't have gone.
I DJ'd at Burleson.
Whoa! Okay, time out.
The Coat Factory?
Time out.
No, that's Burlington.
Close. And not Burleson, Texas, back from where I'm originally from. Time out. I leave town for one weekend, and you go to my neighborhood bar of choice, come out of retirement, and DJ. What was this, a Saturday night?
It was Friday night.
Can we get a shots fired?
I'm telling you, I feel like anytime you are in the neighborhood, it just customary courtesy would be.
You got to hit up the Puma.
Yeah, I would think. Again, I'll talk about my weekend here in a minute, but it was
a last minute thing, But I'm starting to.
Dusting off those records?
Yeah, I'm dusting off the tables.
He doesn't do the digital. He's old school.
No, I do the digital.
You do the you traitor.
You tried to set it. You tried to give
you
him
can't
credit.
compete. You can't compete. You have to go digital. But I will be at the Watering Hole on Thursday night, DJing my first real gig where I'm actually
Wednesday
booked.
Night?
I'm on the card. Yeah.
All right, man. That's a good spot.
No.
I know
Thursday
some bartenders
night.
out there. Thursday night.
Thursday night.
Okay.
I'm going to be at the Watering Hole off
Maybe I can
Fredericksburg
go.
Road
I don't know.
for my homie Xavier's birthday party.
Yeah, it feels like we need to show up and support LG. It's good to hear that.
Is that old school Xavier? Not
the guy from the beat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not the. You know what?
Not the freaking Rican.
Not the
Freaking Rican. I was
to-
like, you're doing freaking Ricans?
My first month I moved to San Antonio, I ended up going to Xavier's birthday party when it was at Club Space downtown.
I know that one.
Yeah,
I know that
exactly.
one. I know exactly where that is.
Well, it's good to hear your retirement is not a one-time deal and back into retirement.
It's not a one-off. He's coming back.
Yeah.
I've been pushing for this for years.
No, I ain't coming back.
You coming back?
It's a one-off. It's a birthday.
A
a friend asked me to do
thing.
This for his birthday.
See, my thing is, if you didn't know LG, the way he spends nothing but the classics. I'm talking.
Yes, Adrian.
Early,
I play nothing but hip-hop.
Late '90s, all the good ones, and he knows how to scratch, gentlemen. It's just not click it into the keyboard, click it in the system, and let it mix for you. He does his own mixes.
I've been watching a lot of the Coachella live performances, and I feel like that's about 90% of the DJs that are playing Coachella. It's just start the computer,
and
push the button, and then just exactly. There's a horde of people around them, just all. Yeah,
that's half of it. Yeah. That's, you got to make yourself look busy, you know.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
let's get the gain up a little bit, just a little bit.
You grab the knobs that don't do anything.
That's right.
And you just pretend that they're really hard to turn.
Yeah, and then you see someone who's actually like, spinning all these knobs, but you're noticing the music isn't changing.
Nothing changes.
Nothing's happening.
But then you have the guy, the LG in the crowd who's sitting there critiquing him. On everything. Oh, he's not really doing anything right.
That's
there.
Me.
So I've got.
I know
that's me when there's another DJ playing.
I've seen it a million times.
I've got a group of friends that are really, really big into EDM, like DJ producing music, whatnot. And anytime I am hesitant, anytime I find someone I like, I am hesitant to even mention it to them because I'm immediately
dog walk you.
I'm immediately
you are so out of date.
Like, that's so
trash.
That's so basic. That guy's not even doing anything. Like, you could do what he's doing. It's like, no, actually, I couldn't.
I tried to listen to
I had to train myself to not critique anybody when I'm out at bars and clubs. Don't critique the DJ. Don't critique the sound guy. Don't look at the videographer.
Oh, man. He's the worst.
I noticed not only did you come out of retirement to DJ, also did a little live streaming last week, I caught.
I did. I went live with one of my good friends, Gary Schneider, who I've known since high school. And I tried to do a live show, and I think I failed epically. Yeah. I'm not a host.
Get you back. So. Me and you're going to do a live show soon. We're going to do one later this week. He's been twisting my arm.
I like where this is going.
So we're going to bring back
I'd like to do more of those shows,
I mean, I've known him since 6th grade.
That's a good point. I had someone ask me on X last week or earlier this week to better explain exactly all of our connections, like who we actually,
how we got together,
how we all got together. So you said it right there. How long have you and LG known each other?
I moved here from Austin in 6th grade, and we went to Driscoll Middle School.
I've known him since 6th grade.
Go Defenders. We used to play Pogs down on the concourse.
Oh, that's a nice aging. Aging fun fact.
And so, believe it or not, the captain was a tall, skinny theater kid in middle school.
Oh, hell yeah!
I love me some theater.
Oh, all about that one act play.
Oh,
yeah.
Tall
I can tell you.
and skinny as well.
Well, that's puberty.
I got in-school suspension one year because I got a handy during one-act play practice. That was the first time I ever got suspension from school. I was in 8th grade.
He's over there getting HJs when you're supposed to be sitting there reading Macbeth. Man.
I think I was the town jester or something in whatever play we were doing. So I literally wasn't taking it serious. Yeah.
So might as well get in.
I was in full character. I wasn't taking it serious. Yeah.
Well, give the man a hand.
Yeah, I noticed. I saw that live stream. That's exciting, though. You and I want to think that this is the beginning of kind of the sprouting off. Like if y'all
many
end up
stories. Like one of my best friends growing up was his next door neighbor. I remember us sitting on the driveway smoking tobacco
out of a water pipe.
Out of water bongs.
A water pipe, sir.
Water pipe.
This is still the state of Texas.
You cannot say the word B.
Yeah, you want to piss off a head shop employee.
But yeah, man, I'm lots of stories. We always had the same crew. I started hanging out with some Alamo Heights kids. He still hung out with MacArthur kids, and I mean, just stories for days.
Oh, MacArthur, home of Josh Young, San Antonio's own.
Yeah, the Escovels.
There you go.
Hey, we know him.
I watched a lot of Ranger baseball this weekend at the beach. It was a rough weekend for my Rangers.
Oh, didn't someone get injured?
I think the whole thing's already fallen. I mean, they're still, I think, a game above 500, but getting swept by a divisional opponent. I'm stealing the weekend recap because
pause that. Okay.
I know one man that probably watched more baseball than anybody I know this weekend.
Oh man, it was rough. All right, give me my minute.
Put him on the clock. Put him on the clock, LG. Let's get a Yankees minute in.
We lose another starter, Stroman, because all we do is play in bad weather. First, it was snow games in, what was it? Not Cleveland, but some random Midwest town.
Minnesota, maybe?
Who knows, man. Lost 2 out of 3 there. Then we played the hottest team in baseball, the San Francisco Giants. The first game, it was raining, wind chill of like at 20 degrees. Our starter gives up 5 runs, doesn't even make it past 1 inning. We can't hit. The game shouldn't have gone on. It was as our coach said, it was the worst conditions he's ever seen to play in. So, of course, we lose another starter, which we're already down 3 starters. But the bats keeps winning. Goldie is a surprising pick from St. Louis. Thank you. He's batting over 350. Judge is still hitting them. He still has tied for the most home runs, and he hasn't hit a home run in 7 games. So that says something for you. And we're doing great with the Royals right now.
I was about to,
a lot of home runs.
I was about to say, these Yankees minutes are going to feel like the longest minutes ever. Speaking of Judge, I saw he was named captain of the World Baseball Classic team.
Oh, is he?
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, he'll
Very
be
nice.
captain, even though I saw Mike Trout's quote on it was something like, yeah, he's like, I have no...
When you're Mr. Yankee, Mr. New York.
Yeah, I have no argument against that. You mentioned Giants being the hottest team in baseball. I thought this would be a good time. Just to, we're, 15, 16 games into the season. Obviously, 162 of them, so, we're not even an eighth of the way in.
We're scratching at it.
But you mentioned the Giants, 11-4. Somehow, first of all, if you had told me the Giants would have a better record than the Dodgers 15 games into the season, wouldn't have believed that. But secondly, the fact that an 11-4 record isn't even good enough for first place in that division. I mean, the Padres 13-3 right now.
Oh.
What a stacked division that is looking. And even, the Diamondbacks represented the National League in the World Series 2 years ago.
The Padres must have swept the last team they played.
They're Padres still undefeated at home this year. They're 7-3 in their last 10.
One of the best
Diamondbacks
stadiums.
still a couple games over
Petco
500.
Park was still one of the most beautiful stadiums I've ever been to.
Yeah, I love Petco. Especially that left field warehouse building they have out there.
Right near the gas lamp.
Yeah. Rest of the National League, not a whole lot of other really shocking. I mean, Braves starting 4-11. That their start was god awful. Just the fact that they even have 4 wins now is amazing. Mets leading that division. And then Cubs off to a hot start. But looking at the American League, I'm not sure. You look at that American League East, Blue Jays half a game ahead of your Yankees in first. But, Blue Jays, Yankees, Sox, Rays, Orioles, the whole division is, it feels like there's not much separation there.
Nah, it's going to be another grinded out year. And the fact that it's one of those things where they instituted the rule, 2 years ago, where we play every team instead of just heavily division playing teams like we play Red Sox 16 times a year. Now we only play them 8 because we have to play everyone in the National League and everyone in the American League instead of just picking certain divisions every year like they did. I think it's evening out. You saw the Astros struggle to get into the playoffs last year, even though their division was cupcake. That was minor league teams in there. But
I can't say much. My Rangers were terrible.
But now it's starting. You can kind of see that these divisions, especially NL West and then the AL East, it's going to be tight.
Yeah. Those are the two marquee.
They're solid divisions. They're going to be competitive. It's going to come down to the last month.
Yeah.
barring injuries.
Over in the NL West, Rockies aren't going to play a part whatsoever. They're terrible. They're 3-12 or something.
I've been to opening day in Denver. It's an experience. I loved it. It was fun.
It seems like a fun.
They shut down the whole city.
They've always had fun teams.
Yeah.
Like the Cargo team that won like 17 of their last 18 to make it into the playoffs as a wild card and then ran all the way to the World Series. Those Todd Helton teams back in the day.
Oh yeah, he just always mashed the ball.
Yeah, they were always fun to watch, but never realistic contenders. But that AL East, you could still convince me the Orioles win that division. Of course, we're only 15 games in; they're only 3 under.
I mean, Gunnar Nelson. I mean, with the Yankees having no starting, we don't have our ace for a year at least. Our second person, Hill, spelled Gil. He's coming back off injury. Our third person, Smith, coming back off injury. Rodon's supposed to be our number 2. He can go on. He's streaky. He is a very emotional player. Can't talk about Yankees anymore. Stop it.
Yeah. We've hit your max minute. Real quick on I mentioned the Rangers getting swept. I'm loving the Victory Plus app for the Rangers. I ended up buying I think it was $100 for the whole season of
2 thumbs up on it.
Yeah, so far, because I already had been watching the Stars games on there. So I thought, why not? I might as well just give them actually, Stars were free. I might as well give them my money to watch the Rangers all season. And it worked great down at the beach, had it on the house and the Airbnb we were staying at. But that, Rangers end up getting swept by the Mariners. Mariners get back to 500. But the most surprising team in the AL West so far, the Angels at 9-6.
That's
Ron Washington working his magic.
Mike Trout
smashing again.
He's smashing again.
Yeah, there was a couple games
There's
ago.
There's some Angels in the outfield, I guess, man.
A couple games ago, they had 3 guys with multi-home runs in the same game. Adele, Trout, and one other. I can't remember who the other was. But the Angels, so far, I think are definitely the surprise of that division. The Astros are still lurking a game under 500. Obviously, a lot of baseball to be played, but I thought it would be a good time, since I knew you were going to mention baseball, check in on those standings. I mentioned last weekend, while LG was in my neighborhood entertaining the masses, I was down at the beach at Port A, something
right near the beach.
We try to go a couple times a year. This is the potentially dangerous vacation or weekend getaway with the in-laws. And I know that's the first reaction.
They're so fun, man.
It's great.
I enjoy them. It's great. It's family affair.
It's great company. I will say this. The roommate and I have been together now, married. Our wedding anniversary is actually this Sunday, Easter Sunday. And that will be
Is that April 20th y'all got married on? That's weird.
It was a Friday.
Is it because it was Friday?
It was the only Friday in April that the venue was available, and it just so happened to be Hitler's birthday. Yeah. No, we went down to the coast with the in-laws, and first of all, y'all are going to have to help me get through this, because I'm still dragging ass from the trip. They get up, y'all know me. I'm not a morning person.
No.
They are up, and granted, Steph's brother and his wife have a couple of little kids, both under the age of 5, so they're up early, man.
Are they fishing or what?
No, just lounging, just relaxing at the beach. But, it's up early before sunset. It's making breakfast as the sun comes up. I mean, I woke up to the smell of fresh breakfast every morning. Yeah. So
I'll eat and I'll
go
back and take a nap.
Yeah,
and I'm it's still wake me up at 11 o'clock.
Yeah, we were most every day. We were tent set up at the beach by 10 a.m.
Oh, you're the prime spot people.
Big time.
You need that prime spot,
and we got it. Luckily, it wasn't. It was a pretty quiet weekend down in Port A. Not heavy crowds on the beach. It was randomly prom weekend, prom night for Port A High School, and so all all of the kiddos were taking their prom pictures on the beach, and I just
any shenanigans.
No, we kept
prom
seeing
bonfires.
We kept seeing nothing.
You're about to get put in jail for watching underage.
Nothing that
festivities.
I noticed, except for the fact that all of a sudden, Steph and I were driving down the beach, and it was like, why are there so many people in dresses taking pictures? Like, what is happening? Like, we couldn't figure it out.
I saw that this weekend, but it was like our age people. I'm like, is there an event going on? I was like, there's a lot of formal wear.
See, and I'm
I'm at Slackers.
I'm 20 years removed from high school now. I didn't even think about the fact that it would be prom season or anything.
You never
like
do
that.
until it's upon you. Until you actually you don't have a kid. Until my kid didn't tell me about prom one year until a week before.
Oh, fun!
And then he says my date is going. She's wearing a brown dress. So
it's a bold decision.
It's an asshole decision. That's what it is. I was pissed. I'm
major asshole.
So I was like, unless you can pull off a white tux, we got to sit there and figure out something. To match this brown dress where you look good too, because you represent.
Yeah, you still got you're representing my bloodline.
It's the family here, dude.
My lineage.
But with a brown dress, that was a difficult one, and he gave me a week. But we pulled it off. We got him like a little salmon-colored sports coat, brown tie that matched the dress, little tan pants. He looked amazing. He looked like he was a stunner.
Yeah, I think one year, the first year I went, I wore a cream-colored tux.
Of course you did.
Of course I did, yeah. And then
Dumb and Dumber style.
Yeah. Well, not
inspired by Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, it was more
Jim
like
Carrey.
like pearly white. Somewhere those pictures are floating out in the ether. I will say, mentioning hanging out with the in-laws, I've found the activity that everyone will actually enjoy. They're big.
Game,
well, they're big, like card game, board game type.
Okay.
So, it's Uno, Skip Bo. I'm not as big on those.
Now, with or without alcohol?
Oh, definitely with.
Oh.
No. No.
Save that one.
No, the father-in-law's pounding Budweiser tall boys. Like it's a fun time. That's why I say I think I am one of the rare lucky ones.
Catholics, so there was no alcohol.
Good luck with that, brother.
No alcohol even at Thanksgiving. I'm like, can we put the football game on, please?
Okay.
We're not going to go too much.
That's a deal breaker. Yeah, that is just. That is a flat out deal breaker.
Good Catholic people.
No, I found the activity. I've been suggesting it for multiple trips now, and we hadn't played yet. I got them to play 42 dominoes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so the problem was Steph's mom and dad have been playing it their whole lives. I grew up playing it with my grandparents, my great grandma.
Wait a minute. Is 42 just regular dominoes?
It's like
is that the
2-on-2 basically?
Oh yeah,
teams. It's like spades, but with dominoes.
Team domino. Yeah.
And so I had to get my ass whipped by her parents all weekend because it was Steph's first time to play. So I'm teaching her how to play while her mom and dad are just embarrassing
Multiples
us.
of 5. Now, do you play with Knicks?
No.
Good.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
I was like, I would have virtually slapped you across this table.
Yeah, there was a lot of
no Knicks in this household.
There was a strong learning curve to get Steph up to speed, but I think I finally Uno's fun. Uno's fine, but. Man. I think I finally got him on Dom. And I'll tell you, apparently there's some. So Steph's brother, his wife is originally from Michigan. She moved down, went to undergrad at Western Michigan, which we'll talk about here in a second, and then did grad school at UTSA. She's a public school teacher here in town. And apparently there's some game up in the Midwest called euchre or something like that. That is very similar strategically to 42. So she picked it up.
I've
instantly.
never heard it called 42. That you're throwing me off. That's just dominoes. That's just dominoes.
Well, I mean, for
bones,
you can play 42. You could play 84. You could play 88. if you have, like, we were playing 88 because we had 6 people.
You are killing
so
me.
you're
with
playing
this.
with 2.
No,
I love
dominoes. It's 1 through 6. All those other bones, you can just throw them away.
Yeah.
All right. Like, I don't know this 42 is like, it's just, you want to throw some bones? There's one way to play it.
Oh, no. There's so many ways to play dominoes.
We can play 3-person. I know 3-person.
Yeah.
2 people. That's pretty simple.
Play old chicken foot. Yeah.
But there's 4 people. You got to have a teammate.
Yeah.
And then you got to sit there and be able to, like, tell them what you have with your eyes.
That's exactly what.
And then you got to be like
that was the major problem.
Set me up.
Because
I got 2 5s.
The brother-in-law's wife picked it up quickly because it was similar to some. So they were good instantly. Her parents have been playing together for years.
Oh, yeah. They know how to play each other.
And then there was me and Steph. And I'm, I've been playing my whole life. Steph was playing for the first time. So it was that balance of, like, trying not to get too frustrated that we were just getting demolished because she was learning.
Muttering to yourself.
1,000. Yeah. You'd be like, well, why didn't you play? Oh, yeah, because you're just learning. Why didn't you play that 3 hands ago? Okay, yeah.
She throws the bone that she should have played like 2 times and go out. And you're like,
again, there was one moment where I had to get up and take a domino walk. I was like, I gotta smoke. I gotta burn one. I gotta burn a heater. I gotta get out of here for a second.
I have a restored table that my friend Natasha did. She did a great job, but it was our old bones table that was passed down to my friend who's in his 50s. And somehow it got passed down to like 3 other friends, and it ended up with me, and I've kept it throughout the years, and it has little nicks all over this thing, and it's from throwing bones.
That's
and
awesome.
Slamming it because it's such an old table that can take all the slams.
Yeah, you could play pogs on it.
No knifing. No knifing.
I mentioned Steph's brother's wife went to Western Michigan. Did either one of you boys realize that we had another national championship played over this weekend?
No.
We had the Final Four here in San Antonio. It was the Frozen Four this weekend. We had college hockey. College hockey on
Maybe that's
big
why they were
ESPN.
dressed up.
Possibly. So Western Michigan, the brother-in-law's wife, she went to Western Michigan. Western Michigan was playing in their first national championship game, end up winning it. So watching the national championship game with an actual grad from Western Michigan, it was pretty fun.
So she was into it.
Oh, she's big time into it. She was, for all you hockey nerds out there, you'll remember I think the most recent big Western Michigan player was a kid, Danny DeKaiser, ended up playing for the Red Wings for a while. So she's been.
Oh, Danny, that's
she's a
right.
Huge, yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, shout out to the Red Wings and Stars playing tonight. Yeah, so she's a big time hockey fan. So it was fun to actually watch. Obviously it was Western Michigan versus BU versus Boston University.
You were down on the beach, and did you know that over the weekend it's this is from text, so I don't get it wrong. It's crazy because it's full moon in Libra that night in the house of Aphrodite. And you
what
can
the hell are you talking
about? And you
about?
can actually cleanse your crystals.
Oh, okay. It was the pink moon. Yes.
Whatever the hell that is.
Look, I have long
But you can cleanse your crystals by putting purified water left overnight under the full moon and in the jar full of crystals, and they bathe under the full moonlight, and it cleanses them.
What are you bitches babbling about?
What are we talking about?
The ex told me that one.
As much as I
was like, huh?
As much as I bash, astrology and all that, every now and then someone will tell me something about like whatever sign I am or like how I'm, and I'll tell them to my face. I was like, that makes absolutely no sense. Yeah. And then like 5 minutes later, as I walk away, I'm like, damn, that was freakishly accurate. I don't want to.
It's a bunch of bullshit.
That's exactly what it is. I don't want to admit how accurate some of it is, though. But highlight of the trip, Steph found, for the first time ever, all the times we've been going to the beach, she found a fully intact shark tooth.
the moon of Aphrodite.
I'm telling you,
I swear to God.
And she was really excited about it until I looked it up and told her what type of shark it was from. It was from a
What's
tiger,
up, Lola B? We see you on the chat.
a sand tiger shark. So
man.
And it looked
I've
fresh.
never found one. That was pretty cool.
It was nice.
That means like how close was the tiger shark?
That's what
how close was it to the shore? I don't get in the water.
Right. I don't get in the water at the beach that often either. If any, like knee deep. That's as far as I'm going.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Once I told her what type of shark it was from, I think the excitement level shifted to a little bit of concern.
Wait a minute. I was in that water.
Let me piece these data points together. I'm not
I'd be
sure.
telling the kids, I'm like, go long and throwing it real far into the ocean.
Yeah, see what happens. Well,
sabotage.
And it was, of course, always out there. There's guys, waded out, waist deep fishing and stuff. The chances of getting a leg bitten off by a shark are slim to none when you're there. I mean, it's
the jellyfish that wrap around your leg that really.
That's a bit concerning at times.
You just got to pee on yourself.
Yeah, does that even work?
Yes, it does. It's science.
I feel like my whole life, though, I've heard if your buddy gets bit by a snake to suck the venom out, and then someone told me no, don't actually do that. Doesn't do it. You just need to get them to a hospital.
But I saw that on a Billy Crystal movie.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God, the great city slickers.
Yes, science.
I chalked that up to as a kid, I thought quicksand was going to be a lot bigger threat to my life throughout adulthood than it actually is.
Princess Bride.
Yeah.
The extreme quicksand.
It just feels like there's a lot of things from my childhood that might not be as accurate. But all in all,
hoverboards still waiting.
Still waiting. There's still.
Those little ones with the wheels, that's
count.
Not
a hoverboard.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, that little thing that your grandpa bust his ass on over Christmas break when you get one.
I rode one.
I can't
Believe it or not.
You are a braver man than I am.
I busted my ass.
That would have been my bet. That would have been my guess.
That's when the back went out.
Yeah, all in all, a good weekend down at the beach. And not as good as the weekend Rory had in Augusta. Hey.
Man, what a tear-jerking moment. Oh, man. I swear, me and my dad, he's a huge golf fan. I mean, last year he came over at the crack of dawn to watch it. And, of course, I take my, mid-round nap and stuff, and he gets all pissed at me. He's like, you're falling asleep. And I can hear you snoring. So he didn't watch it with me this year. But
you're disrespecting the game, falling asleep.
Yeah, but Rory had it in the bag. We got the dream matchup: DeChambeau, Liv versus PGA. DeChambeau and Rory. Rory chasing the career Grand Slam. Oh man! And then in the beginning, when Rory drops the 2 shots on the final day, and
those first 3 holes of the final round were insane.
And Bryson goes up. You're just like, oh, could it be the epic collapse that Rory had when he had a 5-shot lead going into hole 15 right after Amen corner, and he almost had it again. I kept telling my dad, he was like, he's gonna choke. He's gonna choke. And then he did. He yipped that multiple times. He yipped that last putt. I was like, oh.
Yeah, my favorite part about Rory missing the putt on 18 was the fact that it completely robbed Jim Nantz of having whatever cheese bag moment he was about to call, whatever he was
which eventually made it better because he let it roll for about 5 minutes.
Yeah,
nothing said.
Yeah, you don't need. You let the moment breathe.
Yeah, let the moment breathe. He's sitting there just crying on the ground, hyperventilating. I can't imagine the emotions going through him right there, man. He was a prodigy child, like Tiger, man. So much pressure.
Well, and there's
from early age.
A lot of the parallels with Tiger. Obviously, this was the most viewed Masters since Tiger's win. 6-7 years ago?
Yeah. I don't doubt it.
He's
the
now,
dream matchup. The last group was amazing.
Yeah, he's now the 6th player ever with the career Grand Slam. Mm-hmm. The first one to do it since Tiger in 2000. Although Tiger owned all 4 of them consecutively, which is insane.
But he did that. He didn't do it in season. Rory has the capability to have the in-season Grand Slam, and let's go ahead and notice that the U.S. Open is at Quail Hollow, which is usually the Wells Fargo tournament. which he's only won 4 times.
And he's the betting favorite ahead of Scotty already.
Yeah.
I was looking at those odds earlier.
And he's creeping up on number 1, Scotty, but he's won it 4 times. So he's going there. Then he goes over to across the pond, over into his backyard, which he's probably going to be the betting favorite over there. And then the PGA tournament. So he has the long chance. If anybody likes a good parlay, that would probably win you a bunch of money.
Oh, it would win you. You're throwing your money away because it's not going to happen. But it would win you a bunch of money. You mentioned,
you're telling me there's a chance.
Duel with Bryson. I was really, really hoping
so many talking
we
points.
would get an actual down to the wire duel between. I thought, if you had told me we were going to get playoff golf, I would have expected it with him and Bryson. Yeah, and Justin Rose goes insane on the back nine.
He hit a 66 on his final round, and he was leading pretty much the whole tournament until Rory took him over on the final on Saturday. And Rose looked like he was just running out of gas. He's an older player and whatnot, but Bryson's coming roaring back. He didn't have a good Friday. The conditions were perfect. But, of course, in Bryson fashion, he's like, I told you my swing wasn't there just yet,
Yeah, what he was, it was, I think he said something like, despite not having, my best game, I proved to myself I was still able to fight. Yeah. I think the more
that's
interesting.
What happens when you play 3 games over in Live.
See, that's what I was about to say. The more interesting thing to me is, are we finally over the Live Golf PGA Tour rift?
Yeah.
Because Bryson was clearly the most loved golfer on that course all weekend.
Oh, not the last day. All I heard was Rory.
Oh, I don't know.
The chance of Rory outdid, but Bryson was the second.
Once Bryson imploded, Rory got all of the attention. But go back and listen to the response.
Think we have to agree to disagree.
Listen to the response on the tee box at 1. It was way more pro Bryson.
Okay.
And then Bryson starts sliding down the leaderboard, and then it's now if we can't have Bryson,
I think once Rory started coming
history,
back,
exactly.
Okay.
I still think, but I do think they were 1 and 2.
Yeah,
no question. Which gave the gave CBS their ideal matchup with the final group. WNBA draft update: Haley Van Lith gone at 11 to Chicago.
Son of
Quick analysis. The Angel Reese, Haley Van Lith combo in Chicago. No, I'm kidding. I mentioned Nance. I mentioned Nance's moment being stolen from him. The first when Rory missed that putt. I don't want to just sound like the guy who bags on every announcer, because I've made it clear. Like Kevin Burkhardt, not my favorite cup of tea. It doesn't feel like there really are a whole lot of announcers outside of Joe and Troy that I look forward to hearing. Mike Breen for NBA playoffs.
I loved RG3 until they fired him. He was
RG3 needs to post more pictures with Parisian baguettes. I just think Nance has become a bit of a caricature of himself. Like all of the,
I think he gets it. I think he gets
the soft talking.
Going for his career Grand Slam. Let me get it. How soft can I go on and deep?
Like it's a caricature of what you think a golf announcer is. Like it doesn't feel like. And every time during football season, when it's him and Romo and they have no chemistry, Romo will say something,
Romo's babbling,
and then Nance will just lay out on him. Like during football season, I always remind myself, like, okay, well, this is Nance's second gig. Like he's a golf guy.
That's his wheelhouse. That and baseball.
Yeah, like once he gets out of the NFL season, like he's already looking forward to the golf season. But then when we get Nance on golf, then I'm almost like, this broadcast would be a lot better if Tony Romo was in the booth with him.
You want the excitement. You don't want the classic. He's walking up to the ball. Everything.
Again, Vern Lundquist.
Yeah.
Never. It doesn't feel like
I love Scott Van Pelt.
Vern never became a caricature of what he was doing. It feels like Nance has kind of slid into that territory where he feels like he is the event.
Yeah.
And you're tuning in to hear him call the Masters. You're not tuning in to watch the actual Masters.
Well, he's still got the old crowd. And golf, even though it got younger with Tiger and Rory coming in right now, it's still an older sport. It hasn't grabbed the youth just yet again with the next breakout person. Zalatoris was supposed to be one.
Man, he had a rough weekend.
Oh, he missed the cut.
Big time.
Yeah. And Scotty, Sheffy, he's good, but I mean, there's nothing that's a wow factor besides his play. His iron play is ridiculous.
Also, I think Nance announced he's going to retire in like 2038.
Oh,
so putting that date out there, that's a bit presumptive.
I mean, is that his contract? Is that what's on his contract?
I think that's his it'll be his 40th or 30th Masters.
How old is he gonna be? 82?
Well, I mean, Vern was pretty old before he I think he would end up just doing golf only for CBS. But just the air of importance that you put out, I'm going to retire in 13 years from now, just assuming that CBS will never fire me, that I will.
I feel like that's a Tom Brady move that he put. He's like, yeah, I'm going to announce my retirement in 24 years after taking all your money.
And I think you just nailed it. He thinks he's Tom Brady. He thinks he's that.
Could he be Tom Brady of
You're just an announcer, man. You're just an announcer. You practiced that cheese ball line in the hotel room the night before for all his Super Bowl call last year. I was so glad Romo stepped all over it because you just
remind
know.
Me of it. What was it?
Oh man, I can't remember it off the top of my head. Romo started to do actual analysis of the game-winning play while Nance was trying to deliver his storybook sign off.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And so I loved it. It was terrible. It was terrible audio, terrible TV, but I loved it because I just knew how much that pissed Jim Nance off. Which I took a lot of pride in.
All red face in the booth.
Should also note, this is the same man who one time during divorce proceedings ended up talking about how one of the reasons he divorced one of his previous wives was because she didn't want him, wouldn't let him, quote unquote, let him hang a portrait of himself above their fireplace in the living room. It was a giant portrait.
Wait. You don't have a portrait of yourself hanging in your living room?
I do not. I have a Robert Summers painting hanging in my living room. I don't have a portrait of myself.
You are weird.
Yeah, what?
You are the weird ones.
Do you have the mall glamour shots posted?
I got the Costanza, where he's sitting there
I don't think I'm the weird one here. I think Jim Nance wanting to hang a self-portrait of himself in the house. It's just I'm
weird,
I'm
man.
ready.
I'm
ready
for
how
people can hang portraits of themselves. Even back in the day, hanging wedding pics or something like that always creeped me out. I'm like, let's put something abstract or something.
Okay, so one randomly, when you see sometimes at Six Flags where you take the Western photos, and they're all black and white and make you look like it's an old picture, right? Mm. So in our house, we have a bunch of random pictures of just old pictures we've bought from estate sales or garage sales.
Of random people.
Random people. I have no idea who they are. And they're all mixed in with they're in old frames, all mixed in with pictures of our actual old family members and stuff.
I hope, man, unless it's already happening, I want AI to do a photo check on them and see if any of them are pederasses or anything like that. I was you have a pedophile on your wall.
There might be some bank robbers or at least stagecoach robbers on there. But
we need to identify these people.
I've been threatening for the roommate and I to get some of those old Western photos taken and just randomly put one of us up on the wall
superimposed.
Well, just amidst all the other pictures we have,
me, man. What am I
to see if anybody can actually see if anybody notices that one of those is not like the other. All in all, I'll tell you, the one benefit of living in the dystopian hellscape that we find ourselves in, I was able to sit on the beach all weekend and watch the Masters. I had a screen out there with me, and so I laid out. I had the Masters on a tablet. I had my ranch water. Life was good. Life was good.
Jacket, green jacket, who gives a shit?
You got the ambient noise of the ocean and the Masters going on. See, that's why I fall asleep during golf. It's because that ambient.
Oh no, I muted the Masters. I did
yeah.
as soon as ESPN stopped covering. As soon as it hit CBS on Saturday, I just muted it and played music in my ears.
You really have a thing against
I just
Nance.
I don't
you got a hatred deep.
It's not a hatred.
Deep
It's
down in your soul that Jim Nance will not get out of.
It just feels like waiting till 2038 to pass the baton.
Like, how would you know he hung a picture of himself and got divorced because of that? Like,
because
you know this.
Don't question.
You know this.
Don't question my sources. I don't know, because when I hear something like that about someone that I'm already on, I can't forget.
It's
I don't
locked in. Yeah, it's in my brain now. Thanks, bro.
And
Thanks.
now you won't forget. But now, like I said, most watched, most viewed Masters in almost a decade. So all in all, quite an entertaining weekend in Augusta. Also, if you missed the great Chris Vernon with his What's Going On at Augusta updates, always entertaining.
1 quick minute or what?
He does every year. He does a song on his show where it's just giving the scoreboard updates randomly on his show. You got to Google it. It's worth the Google. I would highly recommend.
Shout out to my dad. Really went off. Is 1 year younger than him. It was Lutberger who almost made the cut.
Oh, Bernhard Langer.
Yeah,
the German. Yeah, the German pioneer. I'm glad you mentioned that.
67 years old.
At his last tournament, his last Masters.
Missed it by one shot. By one shot. That's amazing, man.
And his story is amazing, too, because, growing up in Germany when he did, he was the first German golfer, like internationally
I don't think the Germans
successful.
were very well liked back then.
Well, you look, there's a lot of South African golfers that defended certain political strategy. Looking at you, Gary Player. There's some golfers that have checkered.
That is a man's national treasure, man.
Another guy.
The Germans.
Another guy hanging around Augusta still. Yeah, the Langer moment. Him and Freddie Couples almost made the cut too.
I love Freddie. Man.
Yeah, I love Freddie.
Didn't he play barefoot one year? And that was just like it blew my mind.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
that checks out.
It wasn't a Masters or anything. It was just like a random tournament. He just played, took off his shoes and just played the rest of the game barefoot. And I was like, oh man, this guy is a legend.
Man, something else about the Masters I'd forgotten about. Do y'all remember last year when the tree fell and almost landed on people?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was we didn't have any of those kind of like the hearing it's like about to fall. Yeah,
I had a tree fall outside my house one time, and it sounded like the end of the world, and I was like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, luckily this year the Masters, the biggest storyline coming out of it was the actual golf. Nothing too crazy. Also over the weekend, shifting gears here, we. Mercilessly had a finish to the Spurs season. This season has been locked in over since the Wemby injury. Yeah. And, of course, De'Aaron Fox opting to have the surgery late in the year. That was just the final nail in the coffin. But Spurs finish on a high note, get a 125-118 comeback win over the Raptors.
Wasn't it a 21-point or 24-point comeback?
Yeah, they were down. What was it, 76-52 or something like that?
Yeah, I was getting updates, and I thought it was already done, and then I couldn't believe that they won. But do you want to know one little tidbit of information? This is the first year that 3 Spurs players have played all 82 games.
Spurs. Say that again?
Champagnie, Barnes, and Chris Paul played all 82 games.
Huh.
And this is the first year in Spurs franchise
39-year-old Chris Paul, 82.
Played all 82 games, which I was like, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's a hard stat to believe that it hasn't happened before.
They memorized, they put 82 and put their names up there. But that was always.
Well, that's something to celebrate at least.
That's a little nugget that's going to stay in your mind.
I'm not sure there's a whole lot else to celebrate besides the great Bill Schoening calling it a career.
The GOAT.
Funny story real quick before we talk about the Spurs, draft odds and all of the minutia of the offseason. Bill Schoening, before he got the UT job, before he went to Austin, because he was the UT guy before he was the Spurs guy, way back in the day, one of his first jobs in Texas was at La Mesa High School up in the Panhandle.
La Mesa.
And they were a basketball powerhouse.
Let me guess, you played them.
No, but there absolutely is a personal connection. So he was the radio guy for La Mesa Athletics up there, where he met a young basketball coach named Wayne Roberts. And we're talking, I think this was 70s, maybe 80s. And that coach, Wayne Roberts at La Mesa, their head basketball coach, ended up being my head basketball coach at Glenrose.
And you brought it all the way around back to yourself.
That's it.
Narcissism.
Because the first time I met
Bill,
the first time I met Bill out at iHeart, when I told him where I was from, he told me that story, and I just couldn't believe it. I mean, such a small world.
Yeah, small towns.
Absolutely, obviously.
Mr. Iron Man, Bill Schoening.
Congratulations to Bill on enjoying. I guess we're now in day one of retirement today after calling the game yesterday. I hope he celebrated.
I
hope he celebrated appropriately and full force last night after 24 years as the Spurs radio play-by-play guy. It's going to be, and I wrote this down on my notes, we're at a bit of a crossroads with the Spurs organization, not just in terms of the product on the court or the potential asset acquisitions this offseason, but, Pop has the stroke, misses majority of this season. Bill Schoening retiring. It feels like it's a season of change for the Spurs in more ways than one.
This is a new era that's going to come up, man. And I'm hoping, I heard maybe Booker from Phoenix would be traded for a number 1 pick, and we got 2 of them, or first round pick. And I wouldn't mind that.
You mentioned the Suns. The Suns fire Coach Bud, obviously with his San Antonio ties. Coach Bud, they're going to pay him $10 million a year for the next 4 years to not be their coach. He still gets all of that money. And the Suns now, 3 straight years of having 1-year head coaches. I think you mentioned Devin Booker. I think he's had 8 different head coaches in his 11 years in the pros so far.
Oh, wow, man. So
just completely unstable.
He's like the Alex Smith of
and I don't think it's a
if
case.
Anybody knew Alex Smith had 5 offensive coordinators in his first 5 years with the San Francisco Niners.
With your Niners. Yeah, it's
nobody.
I don't think it's Devin Booker, being a coach killer or anything. That Suns situation is just it hasn't
Shout
been.
out to my man Lonnie. He is he is a Phoenix diehard fan.
Oh, Godspeed.
Horrible Mexican food out there, Lonnie. I love you.
Good golf. Speaking of golf, a lot of good golf out there. Now, you mentioned the Booker. We talked about it a little bit last Wednesday with my buddy Toby. The Suns are absolutely one of the teams to circle because they could go any direction. There was a report out over the weekend that potentially the Spurs would be interested in Bradley Beal if they buy him out. Right, and everything you're going to hear, you mentioned the Booker trade rumors.
I'll take Booker.
Obviously, KD has had his own trade rumors going back to the deadline.
Don't need the drama.
The Suns are a team that clearly is going to make
they're blowing
significant
it up.
moves. They're blowing it up. And that's why the Booker one seems incredibly unrealistic to me because, one, if they did put him on the market, I think the Rockets would have a better mix of players and picks.
You're putting it in the air, and I told you said this before the show. I said, don't put it in the air, man.
No, I don't want to hear that. Looking at it on paper, that's the kind of guy the Rockets should be targeting to take next step.
They're already dangerous right now.
Yeah,
they're already dangerous.
They're still missing. They're still missing that 1A talent. I really. We'll see. The Suns could absolutely
like Thunder.
Suns could make a fool of me, but I think KD is the guy that goes instead of Booker out of that situation.
All of them go.
You still got I would think they still want to sell tickets. You get rid of Booker and KD.
They're going to try to model the Spurs and get a couple first-round picks. One this year, of course, and then they're going to try to sit there and package it in with another first-round pick next year, unrestricted. Then maybe get some restricted ones and sit there and do like a 3-person trade, but then come back with 5 first-round picks.
That would be, if you're trading Booker.
That's what Spurs did.
If you're trading Booker, 5 is the minimum you're getting back. Depending, again, if you go to the Rockets and you talk about players, then you're maybe not getting 5 picks back. But it'll be interesting to see what direction they go. But tying it back into
how long to the lottery?
May 13th or something?
So we got NFL draft before then.
Oh yeah, we got the.
That's all this week's going to be dominated about.
Yeah, next Monday will be a heavy NFL draft show. May 12th. I was off by a day.
And then we still thinking about doing a watch party. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should because the Cowboys picking 12th and your Niners up there as well.
At 11th, if we don't trade up.
But speaking about the Spurs odds, we were joking on the group text earlier about the Spurs winning that final game. It didn't change their draft odds. They were locked into 8.
Yeah, they did.
Which now, if you're looking at the numbers of what odds they have now, a hair over a 26% chance at a top 4 pick. Mm-hmm. And in this draft, I think if you're getting the 4th pick in this draft, that's a potential number 1 or 2 pick in most of the drafts of the last decade outside of Wemby.
He's not going to be a starting first 5, but he's going to be a starter off the bench.
Oh, I think I think whoever you're getting at 4.
We're not going to send anybody to the D-League or anything like that.
No.
We're getting someone that's going to play next year.
The problem, though, that 26% chance at a top 4 pick, that leaves you, basically a 35% chance at the 8th pick.
Very low percentage.
34% chance at the 9th pick, and then a 6% chance to be the 10th pick.
I was told there wasn't supposed to be math on this test.
Oh, no, you're going to have to keep up. I've been playing dominoes all weekend. I've been doing nothing but math.
Oh,
so,
man.
Obviously the next big thing to look for with the Spurs is the draft lottery coming up in May to see exactly where that pick lands, because then the question becomes, let's say you move up to that top 4, say if you're, what number, if you're 4, is that still something you entertain in a trade?
Yeah, we're going to have to see what we need.
If you wind up with the 2nd overall pick, you're potentially getting a guy, like you mentioned, you're getting a guy that could step in and be a starter day 1 of his NBA career.
Do we want to go after a shooting guard, or do we want to go big man? We're locked in with the point forward, Wemby. We're locked in with the point guard, Fox.
Yeah.
And I think shooting guard's going to be right up there if we get the top 4. More of this. What's the top 4 in shooting guards?
VJ Edgecombe, the kid from Baylor, he's shot up draft boards. Obviously, Dylan Harper, the kid from Rutgers, he's the presumptive number 2 pick right now. There's a bunch of different ways they could go. I mean, Trey Johnson is a bucket getter, the kid that played at Texas, but probably not jumping all the way up into that top 4. He would be a guy maybe that's there at 8 if they stay. If they don't get luck in the draft and move up. But, of course, we're going to talk a lot about that once we know exactly where they're picking. But in terms of putting a final bow on the Spurs season, mentioned Pop's stroke and, the changing of the season with Bill leaving and Pop not being there most of the season. That left Mitch Johnson in charge. And I thought, just kind of quick around the room here, what grade are we giving Mitch Johnson on the job this year filling in for Pop? Because I don't think, at the beginning of the season, there was probably no scenario in his head that he would be coaching 70-plus games as the interim head coach this year. I mean, it was such out of left field.
The talent, the once-in-a-generation talent, then getting De'Aaron Fox. I will give him, beginning right off the bat, he was, C-. Then he brought it up to, I think, a B- overall for the year.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm at right now. Not stellar, but definitely improved.
I think it was incredibly admirable. He did an incredibly admirable job for the situation he was thrust into.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's been on the staff multiple years, so it wasn't like it was, being plucked from Central Market and thrown into a head coaching job or
he was
Whole
familiar
Foods.
with the system.
Yeah, he wasn't bagging groceries and then coaching an NBA team. I think all things considered, before the Wemby injury, post All-Star break, they were absolutely primed to potentially make a run at one of those final play-in spots.
As soon as they got Fox.
And as soon as, Phoenix implodes, Dallas implodes themselves.
Sweet Luka.
Exactly. So immediately, that opened up an opportunity, had the Spurs stayed healthy, to potentially charge for that, 9-10
play-in game,
the play-in territory.
Which we were close. Like we could. I mean, if Wemby didn't get hurt, if ifs were fifths, but
See, and that's where looking at, it's hard to really grade Mitch Johnson fairly. One, because of how he was put into the position, and then two, the injuries at the end of the season with Wemby and Fox.
See, that's where I think he stepped up his game, because he was using the role players, using the veteran leadership of Barnes and CP3, letting them kind of control in the moment during some tight games. And they weren't blowing substantial fourth quarter leads like they were in the beginning of the year. So
yeah, I also think as an organization, they would never admit it, but there was a lot of organic tanking going on. You mentioned some of those lineups, and anytime.
Let's take out Fox right now.
Anytime you commit to Chris Paul that he's going to be the starter all season as a 39-year-old Chris Paul, I think you're already kind of showing your cards
I don't
a little
think
bit.
In the beginning of the season, but like Chris, I mean, he's still that man. 82 games, he's still that guy. But like his defense is lackluster, but he could still get buckets. He still commanded the floor.
It was the presence. It was more about having his presence.
I would still put him in a top 10 point guard if he's at 8 or 9. 10. But you don't think he's the 10th best point guard in the NBA?
No, I think he's
Chris Paul.
If you're talking the starting point guard of all 30 teams, I think he is at best middle of the pack. He's old. He's just 39. His leadership and his presence with this young group.
Veteran knowledge. I mean,
but I also watched the games, and I watched NBA League Pass almost every night throughout the whole season.
I'd give him 10, maybe 12 best. 10 or 12 best.
You're doing that based purely on resume.
No, I hated Chris Paul.
But I'm saying resume of who he is versus what it actually.
I think he had incredible games with us. He was solid. We knew what we were getting with him.
And that's what it is. He gave them exactly what they thought they were getting at his current age. He did exactly what they wanted him to do. He played, like you said, all 82 games, provided that veteran leadership for a young core that's still learning how to be professionals. When Wemby was healthy, he did a damn good job of feeding Wemby the ball where that hadn't been the case the year before.
Throw it down low. What are you doing?
Yeah, there were absolutely high points, but starting next year, that's De'Aaron Fox at the starting point guard and
Stephon Castle
and Steph Castle at 2. That's your backcourt. So again, I think the signing of Chris Paul to begin with was a bit of organic tanking. You would have hoped, again, without the Wemby or Fox injuries, I would love to see if they could have caught, because Dallas ended up 3 games under 500, I think 30, 39, 38 wins.
Dallas is whatever.
Yeah, you could have.
They're still in the play-in.
San Antonio could have.
They can still upset and still be in the play-in.
That's not happening.
Still be in the playoffs. Who knows?
Speaking of talking about the play-in, I think at this point now that we're multiple years into the play-in experiment, that made Sunday's viewing amazing. Like that Clippers-Warriors game with Harden and Kawhi going back and forth with Curry and Draymond, that was awesome. That made game 82 of the season actually mean something.
But are you making game 82 mean something? Are you risking taking away a team that can actually play a 5 or 7 game series later on, which would be even more entertaining? What if Dallas does move on when you know they're just going to lose in the first round? But then you're like, oh, we could have had this other team that didn't throw away a generational talent like Luka. So
let me ask you this.
The 82nd game was fun. And I did watch basketball on Sunday, which is why I would have never watched the last games of the season.
So it worked. So the NBA got what they wanted.
For one game, it worked. But
that's still more than you would have watched.
Now, what if it's one of our teams that gets ousted off a one-game play-in?
But here's the deal. Off the top of your head, do you know what the lowest seed to ever win an NBA Finals is?
8.
No.
8.
No, not even
8.
close. No. 6.
6.
It was the 95 Rockets.
But how many 8 seeds have been in the finals?
None.
There's never been an ace.
No.
Man, I'm doing the Scrabble challenge.
Absolutely not. Not an 8 seed. No. And that's the thing. Like that, when everyone complained about.
Didn't the Knicks during the Spurs years? Wasn't the Knicks 8?
But that was the lockout year.
Oh, okay. So we're not going to count. We're not going to count the Spurs championship now. All right,
they get the NBA championship.
I just got you. They were the last. They were the last seed, and they made it to the finals. Check me.
No, that's still no. It's still.
Anyway, well, till next time, I'm gonna say I'm correct on this one, but.
No, they're absolutely not. No,
he's trying to, man. He does not want to.
The 6th seed is the lowest seed anyone's ever won an NBA championship. I don't care if you make it to the finals,
but like if you made it to the finals, you said,
yeah, that still doesn't mean you didn't win. It doesn't matter.
But you were there. You were dancing.
Cool. You still lost. Like you were still an 8 seed that didn't win an NBA finals.
This is talking to Cowboy fan about Niners going to the Super Bowl all these years and not winning. You'd rather be us going to the Super Bowl.
Of course I would.
Yes, you would.
Of course.
We went to the dance.
But I'm not going to cry for an 8 seed not having a chance to compete.
Okay, here we go. Jonathan Bibbles, Knicks, Heat, Jimmy Buckets. Yep, that's right. Jimmy Buckets.
So we're talking
about
to
the finals.
We're talking about
the finals.
We're talking about the COVID bubble, and we're talking about the NBA lockout year.
Thank you for that.
So they're
info,
not
Jonathan.
Normal regular seasons. There's
the
absolutely
lockout year. Oh my God, he keeps.
There's absolutely no reason to defend a 7 or 8 seed. They earned a playoff spot. You're a 7 or 8 seed. It doesn't matter. There's no L. The lowest team to ever win was a 6 seed.
I didn't say win. I didn't say win. I said make it.
Again,
make it.
If you're crying about the play-in at this point, you're crying about 7 and 8 seeds. That just seems like a worthless argument to even
there's still hope.
Begin. No, there's
still hope.
There's really the most hope you get is like the Warriors that beat the 1 seed Mavs in 07.
Now
you get the Grizzlies that beat the Spurs.
I get you because it's always a series, and which is why I do not like the play-in games.
Matter.
It's the one game. Like basketball isn't made just like baseball. I hate the one game playoffs. That's not baseball. That's not basketball. We need a series, at least a best out of 3. You know what I'm saying? But for like football, that's why you get an 8th seed that goes to the Super Bowl and wins it, or the 6th seed.
Football's just such a different.
Because it's a one-off.
Yeah.
It's a one-off. And now it's like once you get these low-level teams that are like, catching fire at the right time, but over a series, they're going to get outplayed and outcoached and restructured, and that's when like Popovich shines. That's when all the good coaches shine, Spoelstra, But that's basketball, But
yeah,
I still don't know about the play, and I don't like these one-offs.
The one game, there's probably a better way to do that part of it. But at the end of the day,
best of 3.
I don't think best of 3 would be obvious. I don't think there is really. Like, I'm not going to lose sleep if a 7 seed ends up losing both of their play-in games and doesn't make the playoffs. And the only...
What if Wemby came back and we were in the play-ins and we had the mojo and we had De'Aaron Fox didn't get the injury and we had the pieces around and we had that hope and that willing. Like, we just dig down.
That's why I love the play-in.
And whatnot. But
because they could actually...
It's a one-off. And we lose on a one-off.
Yeah, but again...
That's why you need the 3 games.
Sure,
best of 3.
But you're defending a team that finished in the middle of the pack.
I'm just
of
giving
their
you the
conference.
scenario.
Like,
I'm just giving you the scenario.
You know, there's 15 teams in each conference, and we're talking about the teams that finish dead middle. Like, it doesn't.
We can argue about this
for
like 15 minutes.
There's not a whole lot to defend there. I would love to see, you know, one of these teams. You know, we talk. You know, Atlanta is playing tomorrow night in the East play-in.
Yeah,
we need Atlanta to lose both games. So that they're out and their pick becomes a lottery pick because, as everyone knows, Spurs own the Hawks pick.
Yeah.
So absolutely, we're rooting. We are all Orlando Magic fans tomorrow. Like Penny and Shaq are still there, or Dwight and Turkoglu.
What's their top guy right now?
Which one?
Orlando Magic.
Oh, Banchero, former #1 pick.
Did not know.
Yeah.
Go him.
He's a stud. Go Magic again, led by former Mavs assistant coach Jamal Mosley. I just think the play-in is it's working better. I agree about the one game, the one-off, but it's working better than even I anticipate because I was hyped about it when it was announced because it does, like you said, Sunday afternoon, we're watching game number 82 instead of thinking you're
already looking forward to
you're already looking at, well, the Grizzlies are going to play the Thunder in round 1. The Warriors are going to play the Rockets. So what real motivation do those teams have come game 82 if they're already locked into it?
So it did its job.
The one pushback I would absolutely hear out is just looking at the rankings, the standings. You know, the Rockets are the 2 seed at 52 wins. The Grizzlies are the 8 seed at 48. The fact that the 2 seed and the 8 seed are only separated by 4 games.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And tell me, what NBA fan has more belief in the 52-30 Rockets than they do the 48-34 Warriors?
Well,
you clearly feel better about the Warriors.
The matchup
playoff
that I'm
chances.
Geeked for is, you know, LA versus Minnesota. Ant-Man and his cronies versus Luka and LeBron.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I mean, we saw what Luka did to Gobert last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, like exactly. And they are already fighting. They are already fighting.
You know you've lost a trade when obviously they lost the Luka trade that Dallas did, but when you trade a guy,
I'm playing.
When you trade a guy and your NBA championship odds tank and the other teams skyrocket.
Exactly.
That's what happened with the Lakers are now genuine title contenders.
Vegas was like shit.
Okay. Follow up before we go to our lightning round and get out of here. Number 8 seed Knicks lost to the Spurs in 99. You're correct. 6 seed Rockets beat the Magic in 95. They're the lowest seed ever to win an NBA Finals. The other 8 seed
was there 8 seeds that year? Because you're talking about a long time ago, or was there only 6 seeds? Because there were 8.
There were 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
We didn't add a couple seeds.
No, it was 8.
I was trying to win on a technicality.
So you are correct. The lockout shortened season had an 8 seed in the finals, and the Spurs beat them.
You know my 3 favorite words, right?
The Heat were.
You were right.
The Heat.
Just say it.
You
were right. Just say it.
Well, no, you.
I love those words.
You were still wrong.
I was right,
and I'm giving you the exact data. The 8 seed Heat. The Heat weren't 8 seed. The Heat were the lowest seed they've been when they made the finals was a 5 seed when they lost to the Lakers in the bubble. Yeah. I thought that's what y'all were talking about with the Heat. They weren't an 8 seed any other time. So the Knicks are the only 8 seed to appear in an NBA
final.
Final.
Jonathan saying the Heat again with the Nuggets not in the bubble.
Yeah, no, they weren't 8 seeds though. That's not correct. So
he checked that. Okay.
Because I had to look it up.
I had you back.
Closing out, you threw this out last week. A bit of a lightning round.
Quick hits
to close out. So I've got a few written down. I know you've got a few to get to. You want to go first?
Oh, yeah, man. Let's do it, dude. Watch the UFC, dude. That was stellar fights, man. Patty Pimilton is that man. We had a bunch of people. We had I think New Zealander. I always forget his name. Yugunov. He was dominant as usual. He's going to be a stud for a long time. You had stupid ass Colby Covington trying to call out
son
Patty.
Of a bitch. The Heat were 8 seeds against the Nuggets.
Tell me my 3 favorite words.
You were right.
Oh, so was Jonathan.
Right.
Thank you, Jonathan.
All right.
But yeah, the UFC was good this weekend. Love me some good fights.
I'm glad you keep an eye on that because that is, I've said it before, that is probably the biggest blind spot in my sports fandom. I watch a lot of boxing, but zero UFC. Just never really, it never got its hooks into me early. I've never...
See, I did boxing when I was a kid, and which is surprising. It's just I can't stand all the picking fights. Mayweather killed me on boxing.
Yeah,
even though he is one of the most talented boxers to ever do it, master of the sweet science, the Philly shell, just running from fights that he should have taken before the guy was ancient. He knew what he was doing. I didn't like it. Back in the day, you fought the best, no matter what.
So this UFC fight this weekend, was this on a scale of 1 to 10? What was the importance or the hype of it?
Well, the best fight was the Templeton
big
fight.
One?
This one was probably, man, you're looking about mid-level.
Okay.
This isn't a super fight.
Okay.
Usually those happen. The next one in May or June is they're going to try to get John Jones, and that's going to be a fight. They're still trying to sign him to a deal.
He's still fighting?
And winning.
Damn.
The only loss he had was because he took allegedly steroids.
Yeah, throw that allegedly in. We don't need his people tracking us down.
He did run from a crash on cocaine.
That's what I thought. Okay, cocaine. I thought there was more to that story as well. That was kind of why I was like, he's still fighting?
If you leave the scene, they can't say you were driving under the influence.
Oh, it's the old
little tip for you guys.
It's the SMU receiver that plays for the Chiefs that had
the Rice.
Yeah, Rice. Yeah, it's that saying just leave the scene so you can't be like, hey,
exactly.
I wasn't racing.
And then when the officers come to your door, you just have a beer cracked, and you're like, oh, I've been drinking as soon as I got home.
Yeah, obviously not good legal advice here from the Sports Cave, but
solid advice.
Yeah. So that was Saturday night. The only thing I saw coming out of it was the Trumpster shunning Cheryl
Hines got Tom Brady by Trump. They're like, I guess.
Yeah, that's about the only UFC analysis I can give you.
He's like, I can't stand Larry David.
Another, yes, just all. I hated Seinfeld. Lightning round, quick hit. Did y'all follow any of the Nico Tennessee quarterback?
What's his name? Tennessee quarterback went out there, was trying to fish around, saying he wanted $4 million.
Trying to get a raise on that NIL money.
And wasn't it Oregon that kind of they kind of burst the bubble to Tennessee? That's what I heard.
So I'm not sure it's 100% been confirmed, but they did ask Dan. It came out as the reporting that it was. So for going back,
he said there was 4 teams.
The Tennessee starting quarterback was on a $2.2 million NIL deal. He wanted a raise. He was negotiating with Tennessee to try to get to $4 million.
I think they got up to 3.5, and he wanted 4 because he wanted to be the highest paid NIL player.
He sits out of spring practices while they're negotiating. And granted, he led Tennessee to the college football playoffs last year, losing to the eventual national championship Buckeyes. But then, like you're saying, apparently
he was shopping himself around.
Someone and his family has heavy involvement in all of this. Mm-hmm. So someone in his
and you damn right, if my 19-year-old kid was making $4.5 million, I'm gonna be involved.
Sure,
I'm gonna be like, you gonna come talk to me.
Yeah, also you might have just got your kid.
Yeah.
You might have just lost that gravy train because of your greed. So potentially someone in his corner reaches out to Oregon. Mm-hmm. Dan Lanning, the Oregon head coach, hears about it, calls Josh Heupel, Tennessee's head coach, tells him what's happening. So a reporter asked Dan Lanning today, and he refused. He didn't comment. So that means he did it. That means he didn't. They
snitch,
absolutely
but
did.
I wonder if all those Oregon players are going to feel real good about this coach snitching to them about the NIL deals.
Again, I think
he might lose some favor.
I don't think any of them care as long as their checks keep clearing. The bigger question, or the bigger, I guess, conversation to me is just the amount of people that are rushing to say, "Oh, well, college sports are officially dead. We've got
what's
guys
wrong with the NIL.
Yeah. And
this is what's ruining college football."
I go back to
old curmudgeons.
Why did we never hear y'all say that about head coaches that leveraged other job offers to get raises at their current university?
Yeah.
Like, how come when
Calipari,
a player does it, it's the death of the sport, but when coaches have done it for decades, it's just how business, well, they're smart businessmen. I mean, it just feels like it feels like there's some hypocrisy. Now, all of that being said, if you're a Tennessee player and your starting quarterback is doing this, you obviously feel like he's not bought into the team. So, like, I get both sides in a way. It immediately,
coaches need to learn that no player is bought into the team right now. The NCAA has mistreated their players for so long.
For decades.
They're bought into themselves and their brand.
And for the first time ever, they can be.
And what can the team do for their brand? And that's just the way it's going to be. And if you're mad about it, you did it to yourself. You know, that's it.
At the end of the day, there just needs to be more uniformity to all of it. They need to be under contract, because right now, technically, you could have a kid get paid in high school, like Nico did, to sign with a school. He signs with the school. He gets his NIL money, because in some states you can get paid in high school. He goes to the university and then gets paid again, now under the university's collective, and then might not ever play a game for him. He could leave and keep all that money.
I think
there's no contractual obligation to fulfill your end of the deal.
They're going to start putting in penalties and whatnot like that. We'll see how that works out.
There just needs to be more uniformity to it all. And I think that the conversation of college sports being dead is incredibly overblown. It's hyperbolic in the to get eyes and clicks and attention when it's really
it's the fill
it's
the
not
news
that
cycle.
It's not going to be the death knell.
Nico's going to be fine.
And
Tennessee's going to be fine.
You know, the one interesting thing, because of SEC rules, he can't transfer to another SEC school and be immediately eligible, because I guess their spring transfer window, they don't allow you to go to a in-conference school. So he's going to have to leave the SEC, which potentially
plays into Oregon's hand.
Now, it would be hilarious if he ends up at Oregon. Quickly, a couple DFW quick kicks. Micah, apparently wanting that new contract, is showing up to voluntary offseason workouts with the Cowboys. He is trying to assume, after him and DeMarcus Lawrence had their little spat about leadership on Twitter after DeMarcus signs with the Seahawks. Apparently now Micah is trying to.
Micah's a clown.
He's a clown who's really good at football, and that's all
really
that
good,
matters.
But he's not the best. He's not the best.
Compared to what? Like edge rusher, you mean?
Yeah, T.J. Watt, the Nick Bosa's.
Sure, but I would rather have the
Max
third
Crosby.
best.
There's a quick hit. Max Crosby's taking on assistant GM.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a minute. I would still rather have the third best edge rusher in the league locked up to a contract extension this offseason before we get to training camp, which it seems like Micah is doing his part at least to show Jerry, look, I'll show up to workouts because I want this deal. Let's get it done. Also mentioned Stars. They playing the Red Wings tonight, but the game doesn't matter. They're locked into a first-round matchup with the Colorado Avalanche. Interesting NHL fun fact, none of the original 6 U.S.-based teams made the playoffs. So, Boston, Chicago, Detroit.
Dude, you could put a gun to my head and I couldn't figure
Who's
that
the fourth
out.
one?
I'd die.
Yeah, so it's the first time ever, though. It's the first time that none of the original 6
Chicago Blackhawks,
the American version, because it's still
New York Rangers.
Yeah, Rangers. Yeah. Rangers are the other one, I think. Yeah, Rangers are the other. So
of
none of those
Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, none of those 4 are in the playoffs this year. You mentioned the Max Crosby new job.
Yeah. He's going to be an assistant GM while playing football.
Again,
amazing.
let's hear the same people that bitch about Micah Parsons' podcast or Draymond podcast. Let's see them bitch about Max Crosby taking a job with his.
I think there's not going to be too much bitching.
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot. And really,
there's one glaring fact, but
all that is a recruiting effort by Eastern Michigan.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They just want to remind kids that, hey, look, we actually have produced an elite NFL talent in our building. Come to Eastern Michigan.
I wish the Niners played try to get Max Crosby. He's such a beast.
Yeah, it feels like one of those unfortunate situations where he's just going to play irrelevant football his whole career because of the team he's
and probably
loyal
try to go to like a playoff contender
at the very end. Yeah, exactly. But I'm not so sure he's going to be the last to do this. I mean, if you're
he's starting a trend. He's like, if I can get paid just to be the face and a recruiting tool for especially like a second tier college and stuff like that.
Third tier.
They're gonna do this with all walk-ons or something like that.
UTSA, let's contact Spencer Burford out there. Let's see if we can't get him back on the payroll to convince some of the high school offensive linemen to come to UTSA.
I think this is a great move for him, and let's go Birds. Come on now.
Yeah, it was interesting when I saw that, but I think you'll see potentially more smaller schools like that follow their lead.
Yeah.
That's the end of the run sheet.
Man, yeah, that's it. Flick that beam. Light that beam.
I like ending with the lightning round because, as I said,
we got to be faster on it. This lightning.
There's always maybe we can even LG will work on getting some sounders for it. We need an interstitial between each. Yeah, maybe we just have a lightning crash between each story. Well, that will do it for the Monday edition of the Sports Cave. As always, Cap, LG.
Make sure you subscribe. We need those subscriptions. It costs you nothing.
Yeah, at Sports Cave Live on YouTube. Definitely like the videos, but more importantly, give us that subscription. Back on Wednesday, non-video, but look for the podcast back on Wednesday. Till then,
be here Monday.
Peace.
Kids, what do we say about drugs?
Only thugs use drugs. Say no to drugs.